I'm Rebecca Wright, and welcome to On Subrogation. Joining me today, live in San Diego, California, is Matt Arriaga with Arriaga Mediation. Welcome, Matt.
Hi, Rebecca. Thanks so much. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Well, thank you for being here. Matt, you're based in Ojai, California?
Based in Ojai, I have no location in Idaho and Arizona and Nevada, but most of my business is in California.
Awesome. So we have just attended a great conference, and some of the sessions got us thinking about all these carriers and all of us with subrogation cases. You've mediated a ton of subrogation cases, right?
Yeah. So I've been doing this about 10 years, probably settled around 2,000 cases. I'd say those are the Subro side, and then there's some others sprinkled in there, but Subro is my game in insurance.
Awesome. Yeah. So it got us talking about what is it that carriers and attorneys need to know about how to best prepare their case for mediation. As you, the mediator, what do you wish that we knew?
Yeah, so it was a key thing that was coming up. There's a lot of complex cases that come up, but I feel like a lot of it just can start with the basics. And the basics on the plaintiff side is establishing the demand, figuring out where you sit with your insured. Is there any special, is there a loss of use? Do they have separate counsel? Is there a diminished value? Have there been any offers made? So in the mediation briefs, it's always helpful if they can tell me, and again, this is saving everyone money and keeping the mediation process efficient. So if they can let me know what offers there have or haven't been made is a key thing. If there's been any pro rata, if it's split up with multiple parties, sometimes I don't know that. It may take an hour to get to not a wasted hour, but an hour of paid time to actually get to the facts of it. And I feel like a lot of that could be worked out ahead of time that would really help all parties save money and then eventually work towards a resolution.
Do you feel like not having that information in advance is a symptom of people trying to hide the ball from each other?
Well, maybe that's a good question. I think it could be tactical, but also the Subro caseload is pretty extensive. So unfortunately, it's hard for mostly plaintiff, but also for defense to actually pay attention to really their file, except for maybe an hour or so prior to. But at least on the defense side also is, again, the preparation. And that's one of the, through these great speeches that we listened, one of the key foundations was preparation. And I think we all know what that leads to, right? You understand where your case is going. You can make a more powerful argument with me or whoever you're working with. But yeah, of just getting your ducks in a row and, so to support your claim and to build your argument.
I know that your case includes not only, I'm usually on the plaintiff side of this, not only my client's own claims, but sometimes also my insured's potential claims.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is something that a lot of times maybe plaintiff hasn't disclosed that. And that would be something that would be fantastic for all you plaintiff attorneys out there. To put in there so that the mediators do know that, hey, I am representing my client, that they need their deductible. Maybe it's a high deductible, maybe it's a $5,000 or $10,000 that's going to take out of their recovery on whatever so-and-so insurance company. But yeah, knowing those ahead of time and letting the mediator know instead of having to kind of weasel through. And is your client available, right? Are they on the phone? Do they have the authority? Does their spouse need to be involved? Is it not necessarily minor, but it could be an 18-year-old and the parents, support the kid and they need to be involved in the decision making. That would be another thing too.
Absolutely. Well, and especially in those situations where the insured has a first party suit, like a personal injury action, we're coming in on the Subro piece of it. And then you've got defense counsel. I would presume that everybody would be involved in that mediation.
Well, I know in a perfect world, absolutely. And those do get combined. And there's a lot of times, at least definitely on the defense side, but the PD side doesn't necessarily talk with the personal injury side. And there's separate limits, but they don't necessarily even talk. So sometimes even letting the mediator know maybe that there was a personal injury case and maybe it did settle ahead of time, but letting them know, and that also creates a little bit of liability. So then plaintiff can establish, you paid out on the personal injury side, so therefore, maybe we can get more on the PD side.
Right.
But disclosing that just at least so the mediator, if you want that, well, it wouldn't really be confidential because everyone would know it generally. But yeah, that would be a good example of that, of putting those together. And then obviously as a mediator, I want a global settlement, which you guys do too on plaintiff side, and defense too. Everyone would love a global settlement, but we need to make sure that you can give the mediator as much information so that we can do our job most effectively and keep the process streamlined and get everyone most of what they want.
Well, and like you said, it's the time is being paid for.
Right.
So if we're going to take an extra hour to sort out things that we could have just provided in the beginning in a mediation statement, even a confidential mediation statement, then we're kind of wasting that time.
Absolutely. And that would be better off, kind of working through the process of settling it instead of just the details. But many times, again, it's unfortunate, like the first hour or maybe two could only be just figuring out the players, especially if it's multi layers and multi-sided, I guess. But yeah, that's so the bottom line is just putting together a good comprehensive file. And if it wants to be confidential, that's fantastic. But at least putting together a good file so the mediator knows all the facts. And if you don't know something, disclose it and say, hey, I'm not sure about my insured. They're a little squirrely. I may need to get a hold of them, which happens on both sides, right? So yeah, just giving as much information as possible. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like if we can get our file together, get all the aspects that, are the elements of the claim, then we are in a much better position to have a successful mediation.
Absolutely. And then it would trickle, right? It would trickle towards, I guess, both sides, but really that if you put together a nice clean file, there is like maybe some hidden incentive, but there's incentive for the mediator that has a nice, good, clean file that knows the plaintiff is, when they say, hey, I'll only accept, $90,000, that they mean it because they have a good clean file. They know it. They know their client. They know maybe it's a carrier or they're insured, but they know, and they can transfer that knowledge to me of what I'm dealing with. So I can relay that to defense and let them know how you got kind of an uphill battle. The plaintiff, this is on the top of their desk.
That's right.
And it's a priority.
That's right.
And with supporting docs, pictures, police reports. Yeah.
Well, and I feel like when we have a paid mediation, everyone has some skin in the game.
Yeah.
We're a lot more likely to come to a resolution because everybody is encouraged to do that by that process of mediation, as opposed to, all right, let's all go away and see if we can work something out, right?
Right. Yeah, it absolutely does help. And so that's why I kind of do enjoy having fees split, even though they don't necessarily have to be split. It does kind of put skin in the game, and then everyone's a little bit more vested. Again, searching for that global settlement or just between 2 or 3 parties.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, Matt, it's been a great conference.
Thank
it's been
you.
so great
I know,
to
it's
see
so
you.
awesome. Thanks, Rebecca.
Thank you so much for joining us.
You guys did such a great job, so I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on Subrogation. Reach out to us at rathbonegroup.com if you have any questions, and that's the long and short of it.